Alright, guys. Welcome to Flavo Rihanna's MMA show. It is Tuesday, May 21st. We just finished having UFC Apex 92 that was headlined by Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy. Co-main event was Khaos Williams versus Khaos Yanez. Adrian Yanez was on the card. He ended up fighting Vinicius Salvador. Opener of the card was Emily Ducote versus Vanessa Demopoulos. And honestly, the card overall, in my opinion, this is just a filler. This is just one of 44 cards where the UFC just felt like they just needed to fill this card in. Was it a fun watch? Sure, fun watch, I guess you could say. You had a couple of good knockouts. Khaos Williams knocking out Carlston Harris. Carlston Harris, I don't know where his IQ went. He wanted to just stand and bang with Khaos Williams, and that's never a good idea, especially on how hard this guy hits. And considering the fact that Carlston Harris ended up like hammer fisting the back of Khaos Williams' head, and Khaos Williams had the fortitude to actually follow through with a clean right hand and right flush into the face of Carlston Harris, immediately dropping to the floor. Khaos Williams followed through with a couple shots, and next thing you know, you see Carlston Harris holding the side of his face in pain, knowing that he ended up getting finished. But I want to start off honestly with the main event. The main event: Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy. This is Lerone Murphy's first time fighting in Las Vegas, let alone at the Apex, and also him headlining any type of a fight night card. Lerone Murphy, I think he ended up debuting in like 2020 in the UFC, like during the pandemic. And I gotta say, I've always been a big fan of his. Maybe it's because the fact that he ends up walking out to Tupac, ambitious as a rider, and also just the way that he ends up fighting, right? I know he historically normally fights in Abu Dhabi or in England, and last time we saw him fight, I believe that was in Abu Dhabi, right, if I'm not mistaken. Or if not, that was the second London card that was hosted, I think, in July. But whenever he fights, he builds up so much momentum, but then there's a very lengthy layoff. And that is one of the biggest problems with Lerone Murphy, because yes, he is undefeated. Yes, he is a big problem inside the division. And he can definitely catapult himself with these types of victories into a title shot in the very near future. But the problem with Lerone Murphy is, the man doesn't fight normally inside the United States. A lot of the UFC events are inside the United States. Yes, they travel internationally, but it doesn't help and it doesn't convey for Lerone Murphy to wait only when they're fighting in Europe or in the Middle East. Right now, entering the fight, he was 13-0. He was 5-0 in the UFC with one draw. That one draw was against Zabira Tugarov, and that was on the Khabib versus Poirier card, right? And ever since then, the man has been developing pretty good fights. And I believe that was his first fight, first official fight in the UFC. After that, defeats Ricardo Ramos in round 1 by ground and pound. He defeats Douglas Silva de Andrade by unanimous decision. Defeats Makwan Amirkhani with a knee in round 2, which, of course, anybody that's seen Makwan Amirkhani's fights, the man gasses out after 5 minutes, and then in round 2, everybody places a live max bet on the other opponent, because it's just impossible to miss, right? Was supposed to fight Nathaniel Wood in 8 landward, and I feel like the Nathaniel Wood, he's way past it. He's never going to fight Nathaniel Wood at this rate. Fights Gabriel Santos into a very, very competitive decision. It was a split decision. I favored it as Lerone Murphy 29-28, but that's something that we were like, oh wow, like he has maybe some type of weaknesses, or maybe just Gabriel Santos was that good. Gabriel Santos ended up falling flat on his face in this next fight. Defeats Josh Kulabau. Tough fight, but defeats Josh Kulabau into a unanimous decision. And this is the first time he's going against Edson Barboza, and also 5 rounds too. And a lot of people had the questions: how is his cardio going to be handling? How is his game plan going to fruition into 5 rounds? We've seen him fight for 3 rounds, right? We've seen him finish people, but fighting Edson Barboza is a different animal. He's a different beast. Usually, people that fight Edson Barboza ends up not coming out to see him once the fight is over. I mean, ask Shane Burgos, ask ask a whole litany of different fighters, right? They all say the same thing. Edson Barboza is just an animal. Ask Sadiq Youssef, right? He is an OG of the game. I don't know why he's fighting 145. The man is massive at 145. I feel like he should have just always stayed at 155, but I get it. You wanted to try to see if you can catapult your way into a title opportunity at 145. Unfortunately, with the way that things ended up transpiring on Saturday, I don't think that he's ever going to be, a champion at 145, let alone 155, right? Because Edson Barboza, he had some moments. Obviously, the up kick while he was on the floor at the ending of round 1, where I believe, if there was more time left on the clock in round 1, he would have finished, Lerone Murphy. And even Lerone Murphy ended up saying it right after the fight. He wasn't sure exactly what hit him, and he thought that he wasn't even sure that he ended up getting hit. He had to see it, in between rounds. He was like, oh crap, like I ended up getting hit. But Lerone Murphy ended up, following through, realizing that mistake, and then utilizing the jab, punishing the body of Edson Barboza. And it just showed that maybe age is catching up to Edson Barboza. I think Edson Barboza is north of 40, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Maybe he's like 39 years old. Oh no, I am lying. He is 38 years old. 38 years old. Next year he'll be 39. I'm sorry. Wow, I thought he was 40. But yeah, Lerone Murphy did a fantastic job. One-sided traffic. Outside of that incident in round 1, he just ran through, but Edson Barboza, and now Lerone Murphy now has entered his name into top 10 featherweight status. I feel like if you want to be able to enter the top 15, you have to get past through Alex Caceres. He's usually that gatekeeper. If you want to enter top 10 status, you're going to have to fight somebody of Edson Barboza. Now, what's next for Lerone Murphy? He says he wants to make a turnaround. He says he wants to fight at Manchester, because they will be having a UFC 304 there. I personally would love to see him fight at Manchester. Problem is, I don't know if he's going to be able to physically, from a health standpoint, make that quick of a turnaround. I think it's not wise for his career, because when he was exiting the octagon, he was limping. He didn't look so good. I know that it was a dominant 49 or 49-46 or 50-45 scorecard, but like I said, whenever you fight Edson Barboza, you normally don't come out the same. The way that you entered the fight as opposed to leaving the fight. I feel like he should take some time off. I think the next thing he should fight is maybe push it back for August or September. I think that'll be a good timeline. I know you want to be active and stuff like that. You want to fight in front of your home fans. I feel like for UFC 304, should probably just want to sit this one out, enjoy it as a fan, or maybe even fight in try fighting in France. I know the UFC is trying to go to Paris in September. You could even do that if you want to fight abroad, and then fight one more time to close out the year. Maybe in December for the pay-per-view. But yeah, I don't think Lerone Murphy should try to rush it. The way that he was banged up, I think it's not suitable for him to make a quick turnaround, because they're gonna give him somebody that's ranked. unless they give him like a can where he could just style on them and stuff like that. If he desperately wants to fight in Manchester, so be it. But if he wants to take it very seriously, I honestly really do believe that he should try to fight somebody like the Elks of the Calvin Caters of the world, Josh Emmett. I feel like those are very suitable. Maybe even a Dan Ige, all right, and Dan Ige is very tough to finish. I don't think the guy has ever been finished. That guy has incredible power in his hands. So I'm looking at those three opponents and to see where you can go from there. I know a lot of people are trying to try to fight at the Sphere because it's going to be a one-time thing. Me personally, don't even bother calling out Diego Lopez. I already think they have something booked for him. What? Not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to put him on that card. He's not going to be on International Fight Week, so that means they're more than likely going to put him in the Sphere for Mexican Independence Day. Lerone Murphy, please do not call out Diego Lopez. Co-main event, like I already had illustrated, Khaos Williams versus Carlson Harris. Already said Khaos ended up knocking him out. He got $50,000 for that knockout. The whole Temba Garimbo fight, I'm not going to even talk about it. It was terrible. I know that's the Rock's favorite fighter. He ended up buying him a house, but it was god awful. It was one of the worst fights, honestly, of 2024. I wouldn't even advise anybody to watch it. Adrian Yanez, comes back after a very tough 2023. He bounces back in 2024 in his first victory since 2022. Last year he lost to Jonathan Martinez and he got knocked out by Rob Font. Yanez got a knockout in round 1 against Vinicius Salvador. Who else was on the card? Give me 1 second. Off the top of my head. Yeah, Angela Hill. Yeah, I completely went through me. Angela Hill gets a $50,000 bonus, right? Because she actually got her first submission victory inside the UFC. She ended up submitting Luana Pinheiro. Angela Hill has been fighting so many people. I think that this was like her 25th Octagon appearance. She's 12 and 13 inside the UFC. Her record honestly doesn't even matter to me because she came into the UFC very, very young and very, very raw. And she's just getting better and better as she's progressing. She's also in her late 30s too. Yeah, she is 39 years old, but she is still striving. So I mean, she's doing pretty well. Last loss was against Mackenzie Dern, and that, I believe that was 2023. Yep. And then we had Tom Nolan knocking out Victor Martinez. Melissa Gatto, getting a TKO victory over Tamires Vidal by a punch to the chest, or titty punch, or breast punch. Very unusual. Ref said it was a clean punch, but I'm not a female to distinguish whether that was a punch to the breast or not. Avis Magomedov ended up getting a decision victory against Warley Alves. I don't think he is going to be a get-or-get-got type of a guy anymore. I think he's going to be very methodical on his approach in the octagon. Ariane Carnelossi ended getting a victory by disqualification. She got headbutted. I think she took a playbook out of Aljamain Sterling with the acting classes, because I don't think it was that egregious. It was small little headbutts, but I don't think it was worthy enough for her to be acting the way that she did. Anatong Haley ended up getting a decision victory over Clayton Rodriguez. That was a pretty dominant victory. And then a very questionable Splitty. We went to Splitty City. Vanessa Demopoulos ended up getting a victory over Emily Ducote. I know some people gave it to Ducote, but Vanessa Demopoulos ended up showing that, I guess, damage was more effective than quantity. So Vanessa Demopoulos finds a way on getting these Splitty City type of victories. But yeah, guys, that was it. No UFC this weekend. Next week, we are going to Brick City. We are going to Newark for UFC 301, headlined by Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. And then we got co-main event, Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland. Kevin Holland is fighting Michael Olazáchek. And Jelson Almeida versus it's not Marcin Tybura, it's Alexander Romanov. Alright. So interesting card. Love the card. Love the top 3 fights. Rest of the fights are okay. But looking forward to it. Let's see if Dustin can finish the story out, and let's see if he can get it done. I'm pulling for Dustin on this one. Until then, guys, I am Flavio Rihanna, and thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.